What separates a bland Instagram page or YouTube channel from one that intrigues, captivates, and converts an audience? In today's video, we're talking about how to create engaging content for social media. First, let's talk about the top 3 things you need to know before you can even think about creating any type of content for your social media. Then we're going to talk about the one rule that you need to keep in mind when putting together your social media content strategy. Then I'll tell you about the time that I went mini viral and got the attention of one of the most world-renowned speakers with this piece of content. Here's the 3 things you need to know before you can create any piece of content. The first thing you need to know is your audience. If you don't know who you're speaking to, how can your message reach anyone? If you're trying to speak to everyone, you'll speak to no one. And if you're not clear on who that person, who that customer avatar is, your message will likely fall flat. All of the time and energy and effort that you're putting into this will likely launch to crickets. In my company, we actually made a whole customer profile. We made a man and a woman, we named them, we listed out their age, if they were married, how many kids they had, what their pet peeves were, what their morning routines were, what kept them up at night. If you can get that clear on your customer avatar, your messaging will be so direct that your audience will feel like they understand me so well. When your audience feels understood, they are more likely to trust you and to buy from you. The next thing to know is your voice, to be authentically you. Be creative, be yourself, but what is the thing that makes you you? You know, being in the social media world for the last several years, I've observed a lot of people as they grow in their content, and I've also observed a lot of people who are regurgitating other influencers' content or trying to be, you know, like Gary Vaynerchuk wannabes. Yes, it's so great to be inspired by other creators and be inspired by the people you look up to, but not to try to be like them. There's a lot that we can learn from other people, their mannerisms, their message, how they come across on camera, but there's also a lot that we can learn from what not to do. And by taking all that in and finding what's uniquely and authentically you, that's what's gonna create that undeniable connection with your audience. The other thing to know before you create any content on social media are the trends going on in your niche. What's working well, what isn't? Maybe what's going on in society, in pop culture, that maybe you can ride that noise or strike while the iron is hot by being up to date. However, I'll tell you that even though something is trending, if it's not authentic to you or to your audience, because remember, you have to know your audience and you have to know yourself. If it doesn't feel right for your brand or for your messaging or just who you are, just because it's trending doesn't mean you have to do it. I'll give you an example. There's a lot of trends right now on TikTok or on Instagram Reels where the influencer plays a song and then they point and a message comes up on screen, and I swear my team keeps telling me to do it because these posts are getting really great engagement, but it feels really inauthentic for me, and I think that if I did it, it would probably come across as inauthentic. So when I'm viewing trends, I have to decide for myself, am I doing it because I'm jumping on a bandwagon or because it's something that I actually am interested in creating? Now that you know those things, the best way to create engaging content for your social media is to be a storyteller. Now, I've actually created a whole framework for you that's gonna help you, even if you've never felt like you're a natural storyteller before. This framework is going to change everything. Every single piece of content you create needs to follow this framework. Now, it's based on an acronym that I created, and the acronym is ELSA. Now, I know you might be thinking, ELSA as in like the Disney Snow Queen? Yes, but for these purposes, do not let it go. This could be one of the most important things to create engaging social media content that captivates your audience. ELSA stands for Epiphany, Lesson, Story, Application. So before you create any piece of content, you have to think, what's the epiphany that I want my audience to have? What's that aha moment or that game changer that if they walked away from this content with nothing else, this would be the thing that blew their mind and is also going to connect them to me, that when you're able to create that experience for them, they have a lasting memory and they're connected to you as the one that gave them that impact. The L in ELSA is for lesson. What's the lesson? What's the tangible takeaway that maybe they can implement into their life after this piece of content is over? Now, instead of just, being the dry Charlie Brown, boring teacher telling them like step 1, step 2, step 3, what I'd recommend that you do is tell it through a story. And that's where the S in the ELSA acronym comes into play, story. How can you be a great storyteller? Now, what I recommend for all of my clients is to create a story inventory. You can get a journal or a notebook or a Google Doc where you just brain dump all of your stories. Now, these can be stories in chronological order of your life, of things that happened to you as a child, the things that shaped you into who you are today, something that your parents taught you or a teacher taught you that left a lasting impression. It could even be as simple as something that you overheard at the grocery store last weekend. But these are stories that your audience is going to resonate with and that bring them along an emotional journey. Now, when I say emotional, it could be humor. It could be tugging at their heartstrings. It could be leaving them on the edge of their seat. And even observe for you the stories that you've heard that have kept you captivated. Was it a soap opera on TV? Was it a movie that you were just rooting for this main character as they hit rock bottom and worked their way up to their victory? Whatever that experience is, reverse engineer how can you tell a story to create that same experience for your audience. Now, the A in the ELSA framework is for application. What's the thing that they can now implement? Whether you give them an exercise, maybe you give them a worksheet, maybe you give them a call to action saying, hey, click the link below for this free thing, or go to this next video for the next step. What's the thing that they can now take away and do next after going through your epiphany, lesson, story, and now the application? Before we go into the one rule that you need to keep in mind before creating your content strategy, I noticed you haven't subscribed to this channel yet. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm putting out videos like this every single week to help you grow and scale your audience and your ROI on social media. Click that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. All right, the number one rule. Have you ever heard of this before? It's called the 80-20 rule. This is like the allocation of how much of your content should be value or relationship driven and sales driven. 80% of your content should be value, relationship, just nurturing, and the 20% is where it's appropriate for you to come in with that sales pitch. If you're always selling, what kind of relationship is that building? That's like going up to someone on the street and just saying, hey, will you marry me? You haven't dated them. You haven't built that relationship with them. Make sure that your content is allocating an appropriate portion to both so that you have a relationship with your audience that they can know, like, and trust you so that when they have that emotional connection with you, they're more likely to be able to financially invest in you. Now, I promised I would tell you about a really engaging piece of content that I created that caught the attention of one of the most world-renowned speakers. This was in September of 2020. I was hosting my first live event. It was called Content Machine Live, and it was wildly successful, way more successful than I ever imagined. I created a bunch of hype online. I created all these teaser videos. They were like movie trailers that my intention was to keep people on the edge of their seat. And I had some incredible speakers that spoke at the event. I had Stephen Larson, Alex Sharfin, Christy Code Red, and I knew that it would be a dream come true to ask Russell, one of my mentors, to speak at my first event, Content Machine Live. Russell, if you don't know, is the co-founder of a billion-dollar software company called ClickFunnels, one that I personally use and love so very much. Russell is also known for selling millions of dollars from stage, so his time is very valuable. For him to speak at an event, I think he charges $1 million just for a speaking appearance. I wanted to ask him to speak at my event. Does it sound a little gutsy? You know, I know Russell. I've been part of his inner circle. I've been using ClickFunnels for years. He's asked me to speak at his event, Funnel Hacking Live, but Russell isn't the kind of guy that you can just call up and be like, hey, I'm having this event. Can you speak at it? So what I did is I made a music video. I actually made 2 music videos. One of them was a rap song to one of his favorite songs that I changed the lyrics to be about him. It really caught his attention. But the one that really tipped it over the edge was that I wrote a song and performed it with a ukulele. But instead of just singing to the ukulele track, I brought in Stephen Larson, Christy Code Red, Alex Sharfin, the other speakers, and friends of him to also sing with me and perform in this music video. So it was me, Stephen, Christy, we're all in Boise, so we were in the video together, and Alex Sharfin on an iPad, and I sang this song. Now, the video, disclaimer, I'm gonna link it so you can go see it. It is very catchy. And it went mini viral. The coolest thing was that people were commenting, hundreds of comments, even tagging Russell saying, Russell, you have to see this, you have to say yes, speak at this event. So it's really cool that I was able to generate a lot of hype and a lot of attention, which also brought Russell a lot of attention. So it was really a win-win, and I may have backed him into a corner, but he thankfully said yes and spoke at my event, which was a dream come true. Creating engaging content for social media is one of the keys to creating a content machine that's going to lead into your cash flow system, which is what I implement for my clients to help them scale their businesses to 6, 7, even 8 figures of revenue. I've actually created for you an infinite cash flow blueprint that you can click the link below, get free access to today. Click that link, and I'll see you on the next video.